It goes back to the original CVB establishment over 50 years ago. Having said that, the new NYC&Company was really established about 3.5 years ago by Mayor Bloomberg. I've been with the organization since its new inception. I used to be in private industry, and then I was recruited after selling my company to work for the mayor. NYC&Company is the marketing, partnership, and tourism organization for the city of New York. We do all of the work for marketing our municipality. NYC&Company is the combination of NYC Marketing, NYC Big Events, and the original NYC Company, which was actually the Convention and Visitors Bureau part of the promotion for New York City. New York is very unique in a lot of the assets that we bring to the party. Firstly, we had with NYC Marketing certain media assets, like the out-of-home assets that we have from Samusa. In addition to that, we had the marketing attributes and licensing for the city, for NYPD, FDNY, and of course the marketing characteristics that any normal marketer would be doing. We also combined with NYC Big Events, which is the group that was responsible for bringing together all of the big events, whether it would be the Olympics, whether it would be big sporting events, whether it would be big concerts, etc. And of course, NYC&Company was originally fully responsible for the CVB part of the promotion of New York City. Well, the huge benefits of, one, having great coordination. Also, because of the combination, we've been funded much greater from the city. In addition, it gives us the opportunity to create our own funding mechanisms through partnerships in particular. So, frankly, the combination has probably more than doubled our budget. When the mayor recruited me to become CEO of NYC&Company, his first mandate was to get 50 million visitors by 2015. But actually, we've been very lucky for a variety of reasons, and we believe we're ahead of schedule. So last year, the mayor announced that our new goal is 50 million visitors by 2012. And we actually believe, even with a difficult year this year, we're on target to reach that number by 2012. One of the most important strategies that we put forth starting 3.5 years ago was to increase us having from 3 international offices to, over the last several years, opening up another 15. So we now have a total of 18 international representative offices. This is really important for the city of New York because it allows us to have outreach to all over the world. Actually, we probably have, give or take, between 9.5 and 10 million visitors from the international markets, which, as you know, is a very lucrative opportunity for the city. Even though it represents only 20% of our visitation, it actually really realizes about 50% of our total revenue. Last year, 2008, we had about $32 billion in revenue. About half of that came from the international markets. So that's one important strategy. Another important strategy was to make sure that we found a lot of private partnerships that would help fund us. So we work with AT&T, we work with Coca-Cola, American Express has been a long-term partner of ours. So that's another important strategy. Obviously, the entire world has changed over the last decade, and the importance of new media and the less importance of traditional media is very, very clear. We've tried to become sort of leaders in that area, and obviously we do a lot of things. We have a huge interactive department. One of our biggest investments over the last several years is to create a great new website, nycgo.com. And we promote that in traditional ways, but also we have incredible programs in social network marketing. The social media that we're using Twitter, we're using Traveler, we're using anything we can. And frankly, a lot of the blogging that's being done is one of the best ways to get the message out about New York City. Right now, we're having this interview in our visitor center, which is probably about 8 or 10 months old. And what we've created is sort of a state-of-the-art visitor center with all kinds of high-tech opportunities to help the visitor that comes here to plan their trip. We work with Google to plan the trip, how to get anywhere you want around the city. We have all of our 2,000 members are represented here, all the museums, all of the restaurants, all of the attractions, all of Broadway. And so this is really a one-stop shop opportunity for people to plan their trip, print out their trip, to see things on video. So we feel like this is sort of one of those great windows into all of what New York City has to offer. We believe, and our business model is clearly based on having funding from New York City as well as from New York State. To me, there's no question that it's a very, very important investment that has a great return on the investment when you actually have marketing programs that invite people from all over the world to visit your destination. Spain probably has 100% recognition. And Madrid, obviously, has 100% recognition. But that doesn't mean that everybody knows all of what Madrid has to offer. One of the things that we have, which we're very lucky, is that we are the center of media and the center of popular culture. So sometimes we'll have commercials. The best commercial ever made for New York City was actually Sex and the City, the TV show, and now the film. So not every city or every country has that same opportunity. You need all the marketing you can get. And we absolutely believe that you can track the return on investment, and I would say put the right metrics in place so you can see the success. Not everything will be successful, but you move to things that will. So we think there's not even a question that this should be an important investment by the government. I think the debate should not be about whether private companies should be involved. It's much more about how they should be involved. And I think if people have prudent partnerships where the goals and the objectives of the corporations are consistent with the municipality, I think it's a win-win situation. Obviously, private money is something, especially in an economic situation, when right now is a very welcome asset to any marketing organization. So I don't think it's all about whether there should be a private partnership. It's in what form it should take, who should be the partners, what has the most commonality of goal and objectives. Anything that relates to any government, you have to be very, very even-handed. I think in some of our situations, for example, you can provide exclusive relationships, but at the same time, you have to make sure there are options for the competitors. So, for example, when we do Global Restaurant Week, that's promoted by American Express, which isn't to say that we couldn't do another program that might take place with Visa or MasterCard, but it wouldn't be for the same program. Obviously, it's very important that there is an incredible even-handedness that takes place in dealing with all the marketers. Partnering with a city like Madrid is a huge asset for marketers. And I think it's very, very important that it's fair and honest and very upfront so that everybody understands the benefits that you're going to be getting for that investment. Now that we have offices in 18 cities serving 25 markets, we're beginning to establish very specific partnerships. London is an old-time partner of ours. Matter of fact, the mayor of London came over to New York several months ago and we signed an agreement about mutual promotion with our mayor, Mike Bloomberg. We've done programs with Madrid, one of our very favorite cities. We've done programs with Moscow. We've done programs with Berlin. We've done programs with Dusseldorf. In addition, when we've opened up our offices in Shanghai, we're working on doing very specific co-op programs with all of these different markets, Japan, South Korea. The markets that we're about to do even more with will be South America and Brazil. And of course, last year we opened up our Australian office. Each one of these offices give us the opportunity to make specific partnerships with their respective capital cities or their best tourist destinations. Obviously, there are many things to do and many places to visit in the United States. Our biggest competitors are Orlando, Las Vegas, to some degree Los Angeles. But the reality of it is we have an expression. There's only one New York, but there is no one New York. So what we try to do is to let people know all of what you can do in our city. And so we think that our 5 boroughs represent a strategy that even people that have visited New York City many, many times have only gone to Manhattan. We can get them to Queens, we can get them to Brooklyn, to the Bronx, and Staten Island. So obviously our job is to get people to come to all 5 boroughs. The competitors, usually they stand for a very specific thing. Orlando is very much a family destination. Las Vegas is trying to become a family destination, is doing a fine job at that. But also they're a great convention, center, as is New York. So even though we're competitors, the reality of it is we're kind of all in this together. As a matter of fact, for the first time, we're hoping that the Travel Promotion Act out of Washington will provide funding that will be universally supporting the entire United States. We're looking for an additional funding of about $200 million to promote Destination USA. And in that, we'll promote individual destinations within the United States. We are now the #1 destination in the United States. We've outstripped Orlando. We're the #1 in revenue, and we're the #1 in visitation. We look at every borough as having a very distinct personality. Manhattan is clearly the best known, and it's the home of Broadway, and perhaps some of the most expensive restaurants, and many of the great museums. Having said that, we look at New York as having very different sort of characteristics. Manhattan is perhaps the most sophisticated. Brooklyn is perhaps the coolest. The Bronx is kind of the sexiest. Staten Island, we think, is the most bucolic, with beautiful places to see. And I would say that Queens is the most diverse. And because of these different distinct personalities, we're seeing tremendous resonance with especially foreign travelers. Foreign travelers love to go to Brooklyn, love to go to Queens, are starting to go to the Bronx, and of course, so many people take the Staten Island ferry. So it's our job to make sure that we communicate all of what all 5 boroughs have to offer. I would just like to say it's an honor for me to share with you what New York does. We don't have all of the answers. Every day we learn more. Every day we borrow great ideas from Madrid or from London or from Paris about how they promote themselves and how we should promote ourselves. I can say that there's always been an extraordinary sort of relationship between New York City and Madrid, and we look forward to having that relationship expand. Yo amo Madrid. Gracias por todo. Amo Madrid.